I welcome all the participants and also our distinguished speaker for today, Seema Grover, in yet another edition of Analytics Wednesday. Summer Audit brings these complimentary webinars, and today is the 18th in the series. Today's webinar is Analytics for Internal Audit, Pharma Special by Seema Grover. She is a Vice President, Group Chief Audit Executive, Dr. Reddy's Laboratories. Before I formally introduce Seema, uh, let me just say that this series of webinars are supported by the Government of Canada Trade Commissioner Services, and Summer Audit has been, to repeat, at the forefront in providing technology for internal auditors, for auditors, statutory auditors also. So the flagship solution is IDEA. Of course, there's Smart Exporter, which is the direct connect to SAP, which is the ETL for SAP. Soon, I think next week onwards, we will get an announcement on further ready to use solutions from SAP using as a Smart Exporter. A series of tests which will be introduced, which will be available to internal auditors specifically, targeted at internal auditors who have got SAP system in the organization. This suit has been brought by Caseware and supported by Audicon Germany. We also have the Caseware working papers, which are solutions for statutory auditors, this practicing CA forms, end-to-end solutions for the statutory auditors. So with this short introduction, let me formally introduce Seema Grover. I think I'll start with her educational qualification. She's a chartered accountant. She's a BSc Computers and MSc Mathematics, who has received 4 gold medals with a score of 97.13%. She has participated in the New Horizon Leadership Program, McKinsey program, and she has got various compliance-related certifications, GDPR, SOX, and AI for everyone. Now, about her, she is highly effective financial leader with over 20 years expertise in corporate finance, business finance, internal audit, compliance, mergers and acquisitions, transformation initiatives, planning and analytics, and digital business process excellence. She has worked in various geographies, both in B2B and B2C space, in products and services, recognized for excellence in functional as well as business domains, inspirational and authentic leader who has overcome heavy odds and personal challenges to lead by example and create a legacy of excellence and outstanding achievement. She has led the group internal audit and SOX function in Dr. Reddy's and recognized as best in class firm on corporate governance and risk management. Prior to that, she was the business finance head, custom finance, pharmaceutical services, where she transformed the loss-making unit to a profitable one within a span of 1 year, led the digitization of procure-to-pay process, has received Women Excellence Leadership Award at Dr. Reddy's. She was a lead global analytics team, instrumental in implementing and streamlining the analytics tools on global sales, profitability and cash cycle, and driving key metrics across the organization. And the leadership highlights is responsible for mentoring future leaders on ethics, integrity, and professionalism, and contributed to several organizational and human resource initiatives beyond the function and individual unit. So, a lot to her credit. Excellent leader, and right now she's of course heading the internal audit function. So, over to you, Seema, so that you can speak about today's topic.
Yeah, thank you, Deepti. Good evening, everyone. And if I don't know if someone has joined from out, good morning also. So today, what I would be doing is I would be taking more. There is a presentation. I have a small deck with me, but I think I will speak of my experience, what we have been doing in Dr. Reddy's. And maybe after 30-35 minutes, if we can have a Q&A session, which is more having and asking each other and learning from each other kind of queries, I would humbly request that that approach will really help each one of us to take this forward. What I'll do is I'll start sharing my screen. Yeah, is the screen visible to everyone?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So the whole thought process I have today is first to take through what we do in Dr. Reddy's and then get into the analytics journey of that. Along with analytics journey, I want to share, I don't have slides on that, but I definitely want to share two innovations that we have done in internal audit, and the maturity level of those innovations have gone much beyond doing this over a period of 3 years. I think now our CXO's chairman are involved in the kind of conversations that we do. I will share that at the end of the presentation. So I'll just start with our audit approach, and this is a journey that many of us may be doing, and this is the way we do it. We in Dr. Reddy's look into we very well actually collaborate with the ERM team, the Enterprise Risk Management team, to understand what the risks are, and we map those risks to our current audit universe, and then get to understand where the changes have happened, which are the areas that one need to get into. So that is first assessment, doing a top-down mapping of the thing we do. And then we do an external risk mapping. We speak to various stakeholders in the organization, externally actually with Big Fours and various other research, Gartner and various other research reports, to understand, am I missing out any important key risks? The third part of the journey, actually why I'm sharing this is how you will be able to connect your analytics journey way forward. I think the important connection with the whole is understanding organization, business strategy and goals. So we are part, I'm specifically part of all the key meetings of the organization, which are quarterly review meetings with CEO and with the chairman or MD, or the business review meetings that happen, and even the CFO review meetings that happen in the organization. And I even invite my team leaders for some of these meetings. The key here is able to connect to what is that very much changing in the organization. And we as internal audit, are we aligned with the organization to ensure that the organization meets its goals and objectives? That's the whole proposal on business strategy and goals. Then once we understand and map it to our risk, we meet around 70-80 stakeholders in the organization, including CXOs, all the top stakeholders, and get their inputs in our audit plan, and then finally take it to the audit committee. Here, I would want to share two experiences, specifically the first wave of COVID in 2020, what we have done and how we turned it, our audit plan, is two things I would want to share here. One, from a perspective of how we have become automated in the journey. So first, as the first wave of COVID came here, I think an important question we asked ourselves, are we relevant here? Because the whole story in an organization was of resilience. How do we ensure our business is run? How do we ensure that our things are in place? What is the safety of people? How do we ensure that our employees are working? So here, what we have done is we identified few COVID risks, and we went and discussed with our stakeholders, and our complete audit approach changed online. We proactively went, discussed. One part is we identified COVID risk, and we have requested, we did not audit them. We went and told these are important COVID risks, and we presented that to audit committee. Audit committee requested us to get this self-assessed by the management themselves. We coordinated with them, got them self-assessed, and helped the management wherever it was required. The second immediate change we actually became more of online or a remote audit kind, where we started auditing through SAP, we started auditing through we used Power BI, we used Idea tool, but we became more usage, the usage of it more increased. And here, I think a very important question for me and my team that happened here is, how do we move ahead on this journey? How do we keep our relevance when the organization focus is on more on resilience? And this time, some 1 year back, I'll say, we thought about it, and we thought we will have to move our complete audit base to digital strategy. We cannot be doing this piece the way we are doing it. So here we went ahead doing two stories actually. One part of story was, we get accountable to audit cyber audit. So that was last year for me was the first year I have done a cyber audit for my organization. I have done a data privacy audit for my organization. That was also first time we went. Then IT general controls and application controls, we were doing every year, partnering with one of the big fours, but we strengthened ourselves from that perspective also. And more of IT related, we made that basket of IT audits, maybe the IT hardware audits, the IT software audits. We also went ahead working on making an IT governance control kind of audits, where things are going wrong, a framework, so where the challenges become. So that's one part of IT piece. And the second journey for us was analytics piece from that. So there we very clearly came out saying we need to automate all our processes, and we need to work out by exceptions. And it is there we we coined this project called Digital Watch. This is a very, I will say, a big project for the organization. And for internal audit, it is a prime project. What are we doing here is we are completely implementing a continuous control monitoring system. And I will share the details how we are doing this in two pieces. So that's the perspective that I wanted to share. So in what we started in our analytics journey using Power BI and Idea tool, from a perspective, two areas we used initially, from in perspective of purchases, in inventory, in payroll, in our order to cash cycle. We used text analytics a lot in ABAC, and we have refined and matured that journey also a lot. That also is a very good case study. If someone wants to understand, they can offline call. I'll not share the details here much, but a very good journey on analytics we have worked over there. And majorly on procurement, we were doing well. But I think what is very important for us is to implement the digital watch tool. And what is that next I foresee? I have a vision that we should move on to real-time assurance. And I will share my vision in the coming slides. So this is our audit journey. I'll not dwell much into this slide, but I will dwell more into the next slide. What do we cover? Usually in pharma, markets everyone understand, because per se, every organization markets definitely will be price and revenue growth parameters, customer parameters. But what is very specific for pharma? Pharma is a very regulated organization. Pharmaceutical companies. So one important compliance they have to meet, there is a regulator called as FDA. And this is Food Drug Administration, and this FDA auditors, they are the ones, they once give once they audit and give a report, Okay, once their report says that there are no observations, then you can manufacture products there and then the products can be released to the market. So that is known as good manufacturing practices, or what I have written here as CGMP is current good manufacturing practices. This is basic for any pharma company. The second kind of regulations from marketing perspective is there are a lot of marketing compliances that organization has to, every country or every country has their marketing code of ethics, and organizations themselves also have their marketing code of ethics. And what are regulations here is you have to ensure that your conversations with doctors are very transparent and open, and there is no murky behavior in those transactions. So those are marketing compliances which are very important. The third change, I think anti-bribery, anti-corruption is common for all of us, all the organizations. But if you are listed in US, because Dr. Reddy is listed in New York Stock Exchange, so you also are privy to your foreign corrupt FCPA, foreign corrupt practices, anti-corruption practices. So here you have to ensure that FCPA rules and regulations are mandatorily followed. So these are two, three things which differentiate a pharma company. So what are we doing very differently coming from a pharma space is our focus as internal audit team. If I look at a population of 100%, 20% population, I think we do finance kind of work, hardly 20%, I would say. 80% for us is business and operations. That's the scope of work that internal audit and our SOX team. I wear both the hats, one the audit hat and second as the SOX hat also. So that's the kind of work that we do. So where do we use analytics in the process? In our price and revenue growth, there are case studies we do around this. On anti-bribery, anti-corruption, we do analytics. Marketing compliance, what we are doing is we are building a platform-based tools. We have platform-based tools we have built in few countries. These platform-based tools are that any contracts or any pricing or details, all of those compliances are in our portal, and through this portal, we interact with our third-party professionals, our doctors, and then these tools also interact with our SAP. So we are working in our digital watch. Marketing compliance is an area that our analytics case studies are getting worked on. If I look in GMO means global manufacturing operations, that's the acronym for that. If I look here on supplier chain and vendor or supplier concentration, we have our analytics. The other area that internal audit team is not working, but our in first line of defense, that is the quality team is working, is the CGMP compliance. This area also is a case study of analytics, and we are also implementing here RPAs, robotic process automations in this area. That is an area we are working on. And in area of finance, in area of legal, in area of compliance, there are various places where we are implemented. The analytics models have got implemented. So from an overall perspective, these are the areas that we are working on with analytics model. Even in area of finance, that this also is not driven by internal audit, it's driven by the finance folks, but there is a lot of automation and data automation that has come into play. There are data lakes that are getting built. What will come out of these analytics is I would say your sales and profitability kind of dashboards are available with us. Then your product analysis, what is the product and what customer level for each kind of business that we are into, and at each country, what are our margins, what are our gross margins, what are our net margins, and do we actually do business? It really supports on decision making. So those kind of analytics are also work in progress. I would say we have completed. We have taken it to next level now. I would say this is at 90% for us now in this financial reporting kind of area. Also, we have worked out. One other area I would want to highlight, I will more connect with revenue. Analytics that have been worked by the organization is also in area of your demand planning. What is the demand? Looking at market and the demand, your whole channel of what products that you would be producing, and what is the expected revenue out of that. That complete model also as a complete analytical tool is in place. We have initiated that process also in the organization. But more from an internal audit perspective, where are we working on? We are working on marketing compliance. We are working on anti-bribery, anti-corruption. We are working on some of the, I will not say completely revenue, but between gross revenue and net revenue, you have various discount sales return. Those are the areas we are working on. We are working on procurement. This is one area. And we are working on the internal controls, specifically relating to IT general controls and IT application controls. These are the areas that we are driving under the brandship of Digital Watch and automating the complete processes. I will just share a perspective also here. Maybe the whole thought process we had while we went on with this journey was one, we as internal auditors do the core audits. During COVID, when we saw that there has to be a flexibility, and while we were discussing with our audit committee, we went ahead and changed our audit plan approach. What we have done is we have made our audit plan 70% and 70% I would say is fixed and 30% flexible. A very clear mandate we took from the audit committee that we will keep ourselves flexible and we will cover the new risk whichever are required. For example, the analytics we have done in area of our bank account changes. So one area as a cyber, many of the organizations started facing was in case of phishing mails where people would come and change, they can get your bank accounts changed. Okay, that was one area we went on changing. So what I wanted to say was from a perspective of while we do the analytics journey, some of these help out to play, you expand your horizons and play, help you to manage your risk in a much better way. That is 170% flexibility in assure piece that we have worked out. 3 lines of defense is what I spoke on integrated assurance. How we partnered, I will share at the end of the slide, how we partnered with various people and made this journey. So in Assure for us, very important was to focus on our digital technologies. This is one thing that we got into play. The second piece of the journey advice, what we have done is wherever one is definitely you go and do the analytics. I think the other beauty as an auditor, what we can do is partner. So wherever digital transformations are happening in the organization across the value chain, and you feel in the part of the value chain, whichever transformation is impactful and will impact the strategy or the objectives of the organization, we can partner with the management there. And what we have done is, what we are working out with them is, we are doing an assurance by design. What do I mean assurance by design is, we are going and working with them while they are implementing the platform, while they are digitizing that process, or while they are making those data lakes or analytics working on them, we are going and seeing whether are the interlocks happening and whether internal controls are in place. So this is a proactive kind of audit that I would say it's proactive. Before the implementation happens, you are helping the organization in key parts of digital transformations in the value chain, and then you are helping them. You are helping them to fix before the product or the digital transformation has taken place. So that's one piece. I would. It has been very interesting journey for us. I would recommend if this helps in your analytics journey later while you build in those kind of platform, the analytics, because you know what controls are there and how assurance by design becomes important. That's the journey that's there. Anticipate or the AI enabled risk assessment. This is a vision that I have for my organization, for my team. Today, for us, the complete audit plan is manual process. So tomorrow, how I visualize this process is in the audit plan. If I have an AI enabled risk assessment, where in my data lake I have all the data, and I can put queries on exceptions. And then I can look into those areas and audit them. For example, specifically, suppose there are 10 plants in the organization. Today, the way I audit them is I go to one plant and audit all the parts of that plant. I look at their operations, I look at their production, I look at quality, I look at warehouse, I look at HR, finance of one plant. Tomorrow, if I have a AI-enabled risk assessment, what the way I would approach is, suppose in plant when I see my HR attrition rates are high or my HR KPIs are not met. Similarly, I've seen plant 2, if my other exceptions, suppose there are OS or my quality exceptions are high, or in certain plants, I say there is more wastage happening in case of production. Then those are, that is the way I would pick up the specific areas, focus on specific areas and work around them to ensure that I have made a solution, or there are action points where the management has acted and closed them. So that is the future. So that is the way I actually visualizing that an AI based enabled risk assessment is the story that every organization should visualize and work towards, so that complete audit planning is even automated and is two things. Is one, it is dashboard, or I would say exception based. You can look into exceptions and see where you need to focus on. And second, it has to be end to end, because you cover everything automatically. You know where I end to end I can govern and see where I can focus on. That's the thought process on the vision. The other areas that I want to highlight is what we covered in this journey. One is continuous control monitoring. The second is automated control testing. Continuous control monitoring is for all the areas. It is for procurement. It is for order to cash cycle. It is for payroll. It is for reporting. It is for our anti-bribery, anti-corruption. There are various places we are going to implement. Automated control testing we are implementing in IT general controls and IT application controls. User access review automation also is part of our IT general and application control. Why this is specific? Many of you, wherever you are seeing where IT general and application controls are there, this is an area of issue for many of the companies. Your user access do not get reviewed, or your user appropriateness for the access that are given to the people. How are you ensuring that it is appropriately given, and how this needs to be automated? This is one journey we are doing today. This is FSCP, because we are SOX, have to be SOX compliance. MRC is the management review controls. FSCP is financial statement closing process. So this is an area we are working on this. The journal voucher analysis and institutional business analytics. These are two examples I have got to the table today. I will just give a perspective and tell what we have done and the case study examples I can share with the team here. So yeah, these are two examples actually. So I'll just give a perspective. What is institutional business for us? So we supply medicines to various government related hospitals, and the medicines are supplied either directly by us or through our stockists. Both the models work out. Why this area requires a lot of analytics, and this is the first area we picked up in the organization to see what is happening in this area. There are deep discounts that are given in this area because it is to the government. We provide deep discounts here. So what are the risks we have here? Usually the material can, instead of going to the hospital, may move to the market and the people in the value chain. Either it could be our employee or it could be our stockist or some hospital person can benefit from this in the value chain. So this is a risk. Every pharma company does this industry. It's an industry practice. Every pharma company has this business, and this is an area that it is because of deep discounts. It can become a red flag. So this is an area we picked up and worked out analytics across various parameters. In this case, we built around 25 use cases on this and looked at the complete process that how pricing approvals are happening. Then these kind of businesses also have a clause called as false clause, where where you give a binding to the hospital that if I'm giving you at X price, I will not sell below that X price in the market to the other hospital. So those kind of applicability of those clauses. Then the way pricing that is happening from one stockist, what is the pricing with other stockist? Are we selling directly? Are we selling to trade? What is the shelf life of the product? Is there any sales return happening? What is the trend of that? So this is one case study that was very well appreciated in our organization. Around 25 used cases on this we built on and worked on it. The other case study for us was JV analysis. As all of us are aware, we do a lot of things on journal voucher, and a lot of entries get accounted in our financial statements. So we implemented their Benford's law of analysis to check if there are any unusual patterns on this. Then we looked at timing. Are there any timing unusual? Who are the people who are passing entries late in the night? Who are the people who are passing entries on weekend, Saturday, Sunday? What are the T codes which have high value transactions? So this is a very good financial control that we have built in the system to see how entries get accounted, and are there any parking and posting by same person. So these are a few case studies that I thought I can share, which I found there are many on procurement, many on order to cash, but I felt these two, this is very specific to pharma, institution business kind of case study. The general voucher analysis is a case study which is applicable to every organization. And this really helps us out to see any outside entries that people pass. Sometimes after you close your SAP, you open your book at the year end or month end and pass outside entries. So this is again a very good control to understand what kind of entries are getting accounted and who are passing them and what is the purpose of accounting these entries. The other, I will leave on the slide. These are examples. These are kind of, so this is nothing specific. These are kind of dashboards that all of us are aware, the kind of dashboards that we use while doing data analytics. So these are examples of if there are any unmapped sales order, or if there are multiple rates that people are using, you get a lot of data points because you have lot of parameters to play with. So you can make out what is going well, what is not going well, and your complete audit happens on two things: by population 100% And second, you start doing it by exception. I think that is the complete beauty of doing everything on analytics. This is also similarly on journal entries. Yeah, this is this may be the last, okay, the last slide. Yeah, two slides. So one, what I wanted to share is how we are proceeding as of today. The whole value proposition for us as internal audit team, we want to build this journey in two parts. One, in a digital wall, we have gone something called as process control automation. What are we doing in this regard? We have used our SAP GRC tool and we have built, configured all our process controls on it. That's one way of doing things. The second, for many of our processes like procurement, for report, order to cash, for inventory, for travel. Travel is less nowadays, but it was an important component for payroll, for our warehouse related items, marketing compliance. We are using data analytics continuous control monitoring system. What are we doing as any other analytics tool? We are building a complete data pipeline, and our complete data lake is built. Every KPI or we have agreed is agreed with our stakeholders. Suppose if it is procurement, we have totally agreed with. This is where a lot of time of ours is actually taken. We go and speak to our stakeholders, agree with them. These are the KPIs, these are the analytics that we will be working with you. We agree on wireframes, we agree on dashboards, and the complete mechanism is agreed. And this is the area that we are working on, data analytics enabled continuous control monitoring system. So for us on the RCPs, we are, I will say, maybe 2-3 days, we are going live. On the data enabled analytics piece, we will go live within 15 days to 1 month. And by November, we will be totally live on both the pieces. Our way forward journey is two things. One, to include more and more on data analytics piece, and then move towards AI enabled risk assessment. That's the approach we are following to build this automation journey. Finally, I would request everyone, I think this has been a very beautiful perspective for us also. We have every team member, we are a team of people. Ours is a very diverse team. We have manufacturing people working with us. We have quality professionals working with us. We have the people, we run an assurance leadership program. In this, 3 to 4 people join us who are from sales, people from supply chain, people from R&D. They are part of our team. And approximately on audit and SOX, we are a team of around 25, I would say. Broadly, that's our team. Across, we are central team. We work together centrally, and we travel a lot for the overall audits. What we have differently done, what helped us also and is helping us in our analytics journey is the training part. I think if you see this DFIN course that is there, 622 hours, every person of my team, our organization came with Digital Ninja. So we have that are all AI related, artificial intelligence, design thinking, system thinking. You have your tabular dashboards, RPA, many of those kind of courses the organization has come with. My team has completed all of them. I think our internal audit team has done all those certifications. Many of us, our team members, understand IFRS very well. They are CIAs. They do lot of certifications and trainings that IIA provides. We are big fan. All our team members are big fan, and we ensure the best of what we can take. We divide our programs among the team, and we do this. There are S4HANA. We have done, many of my team members are CISA, CIA. We do various certifications. We do certifications in other areas also. Like I have myself done in GDPR. I've done on business strategy from INSEAD very recently. So learning for us is a very key element. Learning is very, very key for all of us. And I also feel very happy to share that that's the reason we are able to implement and do, because we are also learning in this journey, and all of us as a team are working towards to become more analytical way of mindset. And in this era, we want to keep ourselves learning continuously. So that's from my side. Only one point what I wanted to share is there was one innovation we have done, that is with respect to integrated assurance forum. Maybe I have spoken it in other forums about it, but the beauty of that forum today I'm realizing it. We started this journey some 2 to 3 years back. So what we do here is all our stakeholders take it quality head, regulatory head. Pharmacovigilance is a regulatory aspect in pharma. The pharmacovigilance head, the information security head, the risk head, internal audit, the your other regulations, all assurance leader, compliance head, all assurance leaders come on one table. Then this is chaired by our chairman and managing director and chairman, Mr. Prasad, and our CEO Ires. So, and we have all the management council members also, means our senior business leaders are also part of this. So what is this journey? What is the objective of this journey? Very important is the objective of this one journey is you ensure on the table that there are no surprises to either internal audit team or to the CXOs and even to audit committee. Whatever lapses are there, something falling in between will not happen. That is a big advantage I have seen happening. And you resolve your assurance related points very fast and swiftly. The decision making is very fast on these cases. The third maturity level that we have moved on a dashboard basis kind of review. We have our end-to-end compliance and control dashboard, and we discuss based on dashboard. We have identified key risk indicators, and we have, based on key risk indicators, our conversations are there on the table only for points which are critical or which are of very high nature. No other inputs get discussed on these kind of forum. So I wanted to share this because this may help many of the internal audit heads to drive this, and you see the value add that you do the organization. That's very different perspective we start driving. And in this journey, all of these inputs help us to improve our analytical journey or the audit journey we would want to do, or assurance by design journey that we want to do. So this is from my side. I will pause here and take on for any Q&A, any input or any clarifications where I was not clear. Thank you.
Sure, Seema, thank you very much for this wonderful presentation, basically enlightening everybody. I think 2 or 3 things stand out very clearly. One is deep dive into analytics, taking the journey and going ahead, because that's the only way forward for internal auditors. The second is the integrated assurance model you talked about. I think that is where the internal audit function has to work with other functions and ensure that they bring out the best. And the third is continuous training for internal auditors. So I think these 3 things stand out in today's presentation which you presented. So a big thank you to you for that. And I think I will invite all the participants. We have a number of participants. We have got more than 45 participants, because there are some participants on YouTube also. So okay. Any questions? I think one question which Satish asked, I think you already answered. He asked in terms of what is the how diverse is your team, because given in terms of educational background, because do you have any pharma specialist in your team? Yes. Because you do work beyond accounting, so you already answered that, but you want to elaborate on that, please?
Yes, sure. So in my team, Satish, I have 3 to 4 pharma specialists who have worked in manufacturing or they have worked in quality. That is very clear thing. In my team, I have got an IT expert. I have just taken an approval and got appointed an IT expert also. That I felt was very important, because for me to do an IT audit, cyber audit, GDPR, many times I cannot be outsourcing every time, because I know my risk. I understand my business. So that is one area I have worked on. The third diverse part of it comes from our assurance leadership program. We do a 1-year program within the organization. I have agreed with audit committee. I'll do a 1-year assurance leadership program. And from the program, we invite people, and there are 400, 300 applications come, and we select only 3 or 4, the best of the lot we select. And Satish, I also want to, I'm happy to share the people that I selected last year when I started this program. One person got into IIM Calcutta. He was a regional sales head. He came, joined our program, and our program held him a seat in IIM Calcutta. That was so heartening for us. The second person, looking at the analytics we are doing, because there's a lot of analytics, he's done a course in analytics, and he's joined our digital platform business as a business analyst. They have gone back. I mean, they are going to various other streams. And the third person, we absorbed ourselves in our team. He was a person with manufacturing experience. So yes, I would say in team of 25 people, around 8 people are very, very diverse. I had also an MBA, but that person left us. But I would prefer to have an MBA kind of person also. That's very important.
Okay, I think that's what Satish says, that it is a wonderful, a very focused answer, and all the best to you, Seema. Just one question. I'll just add to what Satish asked. What about legal compliances? Because you operate in so many countries, how do you get the expertise for that, and how do you manage? You did talk about a portal for legal compliances and all the marketing compliances and other things which Dr. Reddy's has. So how do you ensure that your team is abreast with all that?
Okay, so I'll just give you how we work in the organization and then answer that question. So in our organization, we follow very clearly 3 lines model. That clarity is very clear it's a tone from the top. The top management very clearly understands, and that is the way we manage it. We work it out. So our second line, the compliance team is accountable to ensure that the marketing code of conduct or marketing code are in practice. So what are their roles in simple terms? They have to ensure that there is a marketing code in place. The second thing, they have to ensure that there is a training with regard to that in place. They have to ensure they are very much partnered with first line on this regard. And in this journey, they ensure that the understanding of marketing compliance is there in the system. And then there are a lot of trainings, town hall meetings that is part of this. How internal audit works on this is 2 ways. One, our partnership with compliance is excellent. We partner a lot with our compliance team on various things. We partner with them on our SOX related RCMs. We partner with them understanding what are the marketing codes and how they are getting implemented. Whenever we go to an audit, we learn from compliance team first. What are the various marketing codes? What is this all about? We understand that perspective very well. And third, also, this is good also because Deepji, the reason is the people in the system are also old enough. So they understand the business very well. They understand the nuances very well. So that also helps them to understand what is this piece. But before going to audit, there is a lot of learning by the audit team on the business and on the marketing compliances. That is there. Before, as we plan our audit, in our planning scope, before that we have to do that homework and do an audit.
Great. Thank you very much, Seema. I think there are no other questions, so I can take your email ID and we can send it to all the participants so they can directly write to you if you have queries, and the participants can write to us. But before we close, I have one question, because we have been personally I've been doing a lot of study.
Can I stop sharing? How do I do that? You share, it is showing me.
No, I think it's just showing your slide. So thank you. That's it. So it's fine.
Okay.
I have just one last question before we close, Seema.
Okay.
I have been personally doing a lot of research on value addition by internal audit for the last 7-8 years, different internal audit departments. So does your department in Dr. Reddy's do a measurable value add to the business at the end of the year? Do you have a metrics in terms of what is the cost savings, or what has been achieved by the internal department in terms of what was the spend and what has been achieved? Because different departments have different ways of measuring it. Or some say it is assurance, some say it is pure cost savings in terms of 3 times or 5 times and so on. So what's your take on that? What's the Dr. Reddy's take on that?
So for us, first very important thing is our internal controls are effective, adequate, and effective, and there are no surprises on the system. That's the basic for us. Internal controls are adequate and operating effectively. Once I have partnered or crossed that, I do a measurement of incidental. We call it as incidental savings because that's not prime part of my role. But because I audit, there are savings. And today, what I can happily say is, whatever cost we have incurred for our team in last 4 or 5 years, I have more than recovered that cost. That are the kind of savings we provide. We are not a cost to the organization. That is fairly, I can say with such confidence. So
great.
Yeah.
I think great, really great, Seema. I think I just see one more question. So if we have time, so if you'll take that also. This from Shweta Grover. She says, "Hi, ma'am. It was really interactive and useful session. It is related to involvement of IA in the process development, revamping of process. When you say IA should be involved in that process, what tips you want to give to the internal auditors so they can share valuable inputs to the process developments? What are the process developments that are happening? I think because Seema, you talked about process developments. Your team gets involved at the time the processes are developed. So
yeah,
what are the tips you would like to give in that process?
Yeah. So Shweta, the beauty of an internal auditor is 2-3 things he can do very well. You come with a eye for detail. Okay. You come with you understand the control, understand the interlocks. These are 3-4 things you come on with that on the table. Whenever a new process is implemented, if you're partnering with the process head or the business guy or a supply chain, whichever team it is, okay, you understand the value chain. What are the things that this process is going to have? For example, if it is procure to pay process automation that I am doing, there is a initially user requirement, then there is an RFQ process, then there is PRPO process, invoice process, payment process. Now, if I am digitizing this, if the business is digitizing this complete process, I, as an internal audit, can come and tell them that these places, though you are doing your automation, your control failures are going to happen. Or if they give you a blueprint design, this is the place where things are not, this is my blueprint design. Looking at blueprint, you can clearly tell whether an interlock or an internal control is missing, or whether any part of that business is not included in that blueprint, or any parameter is not included. Your eye for detail and internal control interlock understanding gives you a very good perspective, and this understanding, Shweta, is not with other stakeholders. I can tell you on table, other people do not understand this. They are busy in making that happen. They are busy running on the timelines, or they are busy with their other work along with this automation. So this understanding, and only an internal audit, actually a proactive thinking of an internal auditor can get on the table and close this out. It's really a very good value add. You will value add in various ways, and your business guys get surprised. Oh, this is very interesting. Sometimes telling them proactively, ye galat hai, they are more happy than telling them later ki itna galat ho gaya. That is the difference.
Thank you very much, Shweta. Seema, sorry. Thank you very much, Seema. And I think I think we'll close the session today, but I want to say a big thank you to you because you have shared your knowledge about how the process works, your experiences, which are more valuable rather than a theoretical subject, to all the participants. This is the first thing. And second thing is, though the presentation was very short, it showed a lot of maturity of the function and how it has been, your leadership skill in handling and moving it up the value chain as far as internal audit is concerned. So I think that comes out very clearly in this short presentation. So thank you once again to you, and a big thank you to all the participants also for joining us, week after week. This is the 18th week, and I think again we have planned one more session next week on Analytics Wednesday. So I think email will go out to everybody again tomorrow morning. So thank you very much. Very practical, very informative. Thanks a lot, Seema. And thanks a lot to all the participants. Thank you.
I would also take opportunity to thank each one of you, and especially my internal audit team also. They are amazing. I have a very amazing team, amazing leaders. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Seema. Thanks.